This is Prep Period, an all-sports podcast by the Ventura County Star and the people at VCS Preps.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Prep Period, the Ventura County Stars All Sports, All Preps podcast. My name is Dominic Massimino, guy with the AirPods to my left, right? Dude, I really gotta figure out the audience view on this thing. To my right, maybe your left, is Joe Curley. We are sports reporters here at the Star. Yeah, Joe, tell us about your week. I have some cool stuff that happened to me this week, so I'll tell the people about that afterwards. But yeah, what's been going on in the world of Joe?
Nothing, just enjoying. After camping last week, enjoyed weekend home, resting and following everything happening, and really got into the. Make sure you read our the football roundup from Friday night, because I spent all day Saturday on it. We spoke to virtually every coach in the county, and so that was a day's work. It's all in a day's work on Saturday. So check that out. I enjoyed some NFL football yesterday. I watched some base. You know me, I like the playoff baseball. So we had people over, ate some chili, and really enjoying, as you know, the rain.
Us East Coasters are. I woke up in the middle of the night tonight in Ventura. It was like absolutely coming down. Turned off the air conditioning unit, A, because it was cold, and B, because I wanted to be able to hear the patter of the rain on the outside. It was awesome. So cool. Made me miss the East Coast, late fall, early winter storms a little bit.
Yeah.
And Joe was
the best was my kid asking me to drive her to school, which was like a 100-meter walk. To school. It's raining out.
My girlfriend from Seattle always makes fun of Californians for how they react to the rain. It's like, just get a jacket, man. People walking around with umbrellas. And Joe was at Joe was handling the roundup, because I had a busy Saturday working on recap of Clovis Invitational, which was big, and then had to turn that around quick because I was on photographer duty at Pack House over at CSUCI. Got to shoot some very cool acts. He brought out Snoop. He brought out Ray J. He brought out Estelle, Ciara. It was very, very cool. Closest I've ever been, because I got to shoot from the photo well. So that was awesome.
Yeah, the Snoop rumor was true.
Mm-hmm. Word got out.
I almost brought my kid to that. That would have been a lot more fun than making all those phone calls on Saturday. So I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was cool, man. We all wear many hats here at the Star, so it's cool to do the photo stuff. But yeah, we got a busy episode today. Lots of big news across the county and beyond. But as always, we're going to start with our recap of where we were on Friday night from last week and what we saw. Joe had probably one of the more exciting games to hear about, to read about, in so many facets. The stuff happening on the field, stuff happening off the field, the way that it ended, made for just an awesome story and a very awesome gallery. I got to shout out my guy Joe Lamaya again. That photo of the kicker on the sideline, arms outstretched, with his guys around him, just enjoying the moment, was like, that was the story right there. So, but tell us about this, what turned into a key Marmani League clash and with Pacifica and Bonnie.
I mean, Pacifica and Bonnie have been kind of the game in Ventura County, certainly in the West Side, for 5 years now, 4 years, ever since Bonnie smacked them 70-7 in the first game about 5 years ago. And it's been a great rivalry to follow. Obviously, we got the two classics last year. This game was really for, halfway through the game, when we figured out Bishop had lost, you're like, okay, this game's for first place. This game's for the upper hand. And credit to St. Bonaventure, they really dominated for 3.5 quarters. Even Mike Moon, you see in my story, admitted that. They were phenomenal up front. Offensively, they put together a couple really good quick hitting drives. Tony Dargan had some big plays in the first half, and you got to see kind of what Bonaventure, just a high end talent. I mean, for a program that has lost a lot of players, they have ever since they turned coaches over, they have done a really good job of keeping the talent, the highest end talent, Barrios, Perez, Moore, Franco. The names, and they grabbed the advantage. It was just two teams defensively just pounding on each other. Both teams had pick sixes. Biggest play of the game was Bonaventure early in the fourth quarter has a chance to take a 2-touchdown lead, and the linebacker DeVille, number 16, that we've just kind of learning about.
Yeah, Warner, right? DeVille Warner.
Yeah, DeVille Warner reaches in and strips the ball from the St. Bonaventure ball carrier on the 2-yard line as he's going in. Just an unbelievable play, and it was one of these where it's like a strip and a recovery together. It's really one of the better defensive plays that you've seen, either of us have seen in a long time, and that stemmed the tide, but it didn't keep Pacifica from going down 2 scores and having to score the last two, the last 2 scores of the game to win it. They got a really big play from Taylor Lee, who, again, Taylor Lee, after being virtually perfect the first 5 games, once he's gotten into league play with the 2 defensive lines he's faced, it's really been a lot tougher for him. And he threw a pick 6 in this game. He threw 3 picks, but when the money was on the table, he brought the Tritons back, and they get a long touchdown pass to pull within 23-21, and then he basically conducted 2 game-winning drives. And it was really, we got to give credit to Isaiah Phelps. Isaiah Phelps, the all-world middle linebacker, moves to running back and runs for essentially 100 yards in the last 15 minutes of the game.
What an awesome thing to have in your back pocket for a team that's as explosive already with the current setup that Pacifica has, to have in your back pocket. Stuff's not really working. Let's just take our incredible future Division I linebacker and toss him back in the backfield where he did so much damage last year, and this is what you get.
Because remember, crazy. It's not just Phelps in that backfield; it's Phelps and Royster. So you've got Thunder and Lightning. So they really went to like a Thunder and Lightning package. They drive all the way down. They missed a chip shot field goal. It's the second field goal they've missed. So they go to the backup field goal kick. The backup kicker, on the second when they get lucky. But I should mention, the other key point of the game from a Bonaventure perspective is they get 2 first downs, and I'm like thinking about my lead. I'm like, the Seraphs have this game. It's over.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 minutes left. Pacifica's out of timeouts. It gets to 3rd and long with under 2 minutes to play, and Bonaventure spikes a screen. And it's like, when you're in that position, all you have to do is run the ball in line and punt, and the other team's got less than a minute to drive the length of the field, doesn't have any timeouts. Like you've got to, I don't know. My one criticism, I think, of that is we've got to complete the screen. If you're going to call a screen, it's got to be completed. And so that was the mistake. Say Bonaventure kind of left time on the table with that. They punt the ball away, and that sets up the long drive for Phelps and company. And he has the great moment where the backup kicker, whose older brother was the kicker on the state championship team. So story-wise, it worked out great. So those
they gave you They gave you I know that feeling 10 minutes left in the game, being like, oh man, let me scrap everything that I had written in my head of what the story is going to be. And at least they gave you something, beautiful at the end there to write about. Sorry, just scheduling some stuff.
Do you want me to let Dylan? Did you let Dylan in and he can just chill in here until we need him?
I just texted him, making sure that we're good for our current schedule, because I think we're going to talk. Cool. Yeah. So, no surprise
Not to break the
anymore.
fourth wall or
We
anything.
we we have some, yeah. Hey, our regular listeners have already gotten many peeks behind the curtain, have gotten to see how the sausage gets made here at Prep Period. So, yeah, we're gonna have some coaches on later today. So stick around. Yeah, my game. Gosh, it was a fun one. So I'm going into this game. We've talked about what that Moore Park Ventura game
You've
was
been
last
waiting
year.
for that game for 365 days.
I just could not wait. And doing all the reporting going into this season, knowing how important that game was going to be, going into it, just with league, with trying to kind of go after this Channel League title, we knew those teams were going to kind of be the two to look out for, and we knew that this was, with a lot of games still to play, this was going to be like a de facto league championship in all likelihood, and that's how both teams approached this game. So a lot of hype going in, a lot of chirping between both teams throughout the game, right up until the final the final couple of seconds. But Ventura gets the win. Is able to kind of overcome. We talked about this in the Twitter Spaces Friday night. Is able to overcome. A lot of errors, a lot of, tough plays that go the wrong direction. But unlike, sometimes in the past where we've seen those, shots to the foot, so to speak, really kind of hampering them and having one mistake turn into a couple of drives not going well. Ventura kind of manages to put those things behind them quickly and maintain their consistency and keep pushing forward. They pick up the 34-23 win. The play of the game came 5 plays into the game. So Ventura takes the kickoff. They fumble on a running play, the first play of the game, first offense play of the game. They fumble the ball away in their own 25, and it looks like, okay, here's Moore Park. They're going to take the first touchdown. They're going to take the momentum. The Ventura defense forces, they push Moore Park back 3 plays in a row and forces a field goal attempt. And Tristan Phillips gets past the line of scrimmage and blocks that field goal attempt. Nathan Swaim, who's a defensive back, scoops up the ball and runs back almost 80 yards for a touchdown. And just like that, all that momentum that Moore Park had built from that early fumble recovery goes back in Ventura's direction. And that's kind of the story of the game. They have these mistakes. They immediately are able to kind of clean them up and make up for them on the other end. And so that was pretty cool. Another phenomenal Jack Cunningham game. I don't have his stat line right in front of me, but I think he had 3 touchdowns, something like 170 yards. Basically the same stat line for catches and yards that he had
the previous week.
But he had 3 touchdowns this week. Fun quote from Tristan Phillips after the game. He was like, "Yeah, I gave him a lot of crap last week because Tristan Phillips had a rushing touchdown last week, which I think was in our plays of the week." And he's like, "Yeah, Jack showed me up a little bit this week. He'd had enough of me talking smack in the previous week. Comes back with 3 touchdowns." Got to mention for Moore Park a couple of things. So Logan Moon in his second start, he ends up coming out of the game with an injury. Troy Reyes comes in and takes over for him. He plays the last 3 quarters of the game. Plays an excellent game. He was 9 for 19 for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of them went to Davis Benson, who finished with 2 touchdowns, one from Moon and one from Reyes on the night. But he completes 2 touchdowns that kind of keep them in this game, which is a great thing to have, having those 2 talented quarterbacks, being able to go to one when you lose the other. But Ventura kind of controls their own destiny now. They have some games coming up that, they obviously think are winnable, but talking to Coach Garcia after the game, he's like, "No, man, we're taking every game very seriously from now on because we do control our own destiny, and we got to make sure that we don't make any mistakes moving forward." But be interesting to see how Moore Park bounces back from this one, and looking forward to hopefully the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to you. I love it in this thing when we get excited, to pull, I think John scheduled us having the opposite games, and when you write the preview of that league, you want to see it through, and you want to, you've been studying that league for months. So obviously you wanted to be there, and I had no problem being at either. You know, those are both. I just like being at a big game on Friday night, and certainly Pacifica St. Bonaventure was a massive game, as was Thousand Oaks Newbury Park, Thousand Oaks Westlake.
Yep.
So, which was, I mean, just another. You know, they just keep bumping that glass ceiling up and pushing that ceiling up, and every time we think Westlake, every time I pick against them, they win. I got to remember that when I make my picks this week.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, they win 42-21 over a, really, really good TO team. Like we keep saying that. Anytime TO loses a game, I'm like a little surprised because TO's been awesome. This is a team that routed Ventura earlier this year, and Ventura is a really good team as well. So, but yeah, so Westlake improves to 7-0, one of our last couple of unbeaten teams. They led 42-14 late in this game, so they did a lot of work early. Damani Bell had 4 touchdowns on 22 carries for 209 yards in this game. They limit TO to 81 total rushing yards, so they end up having to go to there's Coach Weiss here. They end up having to go to the passing game.
He's got 5 minutes, so we can let him in here while we finish.
I love it. Yeah, and Jackson Taylor finished 22 for 30 passing for 272, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But interesting seeing TO kind of go to the passing game so heavy. We sort of had anticipated maybe they'd go the other direction and lean on Jordan Johnson a little bit, but sounds like Westlake did a really good job stopping the run.
Yeah, Coach Clausen talked about how well they did defensively and being in that position. I mean, really, it just goes back. Damani Bell had a big game against them last year, and he went for 209 with 4 touchdowns. He's the first county 1,000-yard rusher of the season. It really the 3 turnovers to start. TO turned the ball over on their first 3 possessions and was lucky to be within 21-14 at the half. And so it doesn't, they didn't really, it wasn't the whole story of the game because Westlake was in control, and then they kind of put the game away with a great third quarter. So, so Westlake's now 7-0 for the first time since 2011, which was when they played Concord de La Salle for the Open Division State Championship, one of the great teams in Ventura County history. And as we keep saying with this Westlake team, they're just beginning. So another huge game that we'll talk about in a little bit with Newbury Park, who bounced back from, losing, our number 1 player, Brady Smigel. They just handed it to Calabasas 46-14. The new quarterback, Tyler Mayer, was 20 of 27 for 191 yards and 4 touchdowns. Curry Carner and Almonde all catch TD passes. So that's kind of an eye-opening, not the fact that Newbury wins, but the fact that they win going away and are able to kind of limit that Calabasas offense to only 2 scores. You'd think it's going to be a track meet, literally, when you're talking about Kingston Salifi, one of the fastest guys around. But that really wasn't the case. Newbury showing that, post SOP, that they're a more complete team even without their quarterback. And we'll see. They'll really be challenged this week. It's Westlake's latest, is this the end of the run kind of thing with Newbury. That's over at Westlake. And I have to do some research. I'm trying to figure out the last time, just like last week, what was the last big Westlake TO game? What's the last big Westlake Newbury game? Because even though those are all rivalries, they're rarely, or recently, they've been rarely good at the same time. So, the fact that all 3 Conejo Valley schools are good at the same time is really, it's really impressive.
I had to, I just had to look up on my phone what that Mark Twain quote was. The reports of Newbury Park's demise were greatly exaggerated. Thanks to Tyler Mayer. That's awesome. That's like super exciting.
And then you have to go back to the spaces we had on Friday night. If you haven't listened to it yet, how would you describe Joe Schmeigel's appearance on the spaces Friday night? It was entertaining. It would be the one word. It was inspirational.
Somewhere between I was
hysterical.
I was ready to run through a brick wall by the end of his remarks on the Twitter Spaces, and I am a 27-year-old sports writer who has never put on football pads. So make of that what you will.
You get a sense of why he's such a good offensive line coach for sure.
Yep.
And then other things to mention: Oaks, huge win, giving Bishop Diego their first loss. Comes down to a missed extra point by why am I blanking? What's Bishop Diego? No. Charlie, what's Bishop Diego?
I bet Charlie knows. What's the
Why
math? He's like, no call on me.
Which is funny because we have a rule. We never
Look it up.
mention the mascot of non-local teams.
Uh-huh.
So I guess that's a mental block.
Bishop
but,
Diego mascot
I
is
certainly know what it is. If certainly, you know,
the
you're gonna
Cardinals.
say it, I'm gonna
The
go.
Cardinals.
The Cardinals,
Yeah.
of course.
Duh.
They have the Cardinals on their helmets.
Yep.
I only got
Wow.
room to worry about one Cardinal in my life.
I love that.
So I mean, Oaks was down twice, came back and won. Now we'll see. You know, we'll talk about the big game they've got this week. Back on track, and then to me, you know, the other big game from last week that I wish we were able to be at, the inaugural Rose Cup. I saw somebody mention it as the Rose Bowl, and I'm like, well, you can't call it the Rose Bowl. There's already one of those.
They got one of those already.
So the Rose Cup, you know, obviously mentioning Rose Avenue, which apparently links both. I was thinking of the geography of it, but I guess CI and Del Sol are both at least on the corner of Rose and something else.
Oh, yeah.
So that's super cool that you know, that they're starting that history early and that tradition and that rivalry, you know, in a year that we'll get to at some point, you know, where rivalries are getting kind of you know, dilapidated or, you know, under attack a little bit. You know, the fact that we're starting a brand new one in South Oxnard is super cool. So plus Channel Islands has something to remember because they end their 14-game winning streak in a back and forth game. Two teams that really struggled to score points, put up 30 plus. So really cool moment for both those teams.
I'm taking credit because we had a conversation. We had a conversation heading into this game about what type of game this was going to be, and I wasn't right about the final score or the margin of victory. I think you were
right
closer.
about the style, which is
But
the most important thing.
Yeah, man, I saw those touchdown catches. I don't know what Moody finished with in this game, or if he even played a big role. But
Yeah.
I saw
think it was-
that in that game, and I was like, "That's
It was the two you see on social media are the two big ones.
yeah,
You know, they had the two touchdown catches. I think he only had 88 yards. It's in the roundup. I know that. I'm so, you know, when you're doing 15 games on a Saturday, they all kind of blend together. But we got it in the roundup. And the other thing is that, you know, Del Sol was in position to win the game, and I guess they got banged up a little bit. Quarterback got knocked out, running back got knocked out, and I think that's how they stopped. They stopped scoring because CI kind of, and that's, you know, CI for all of their I want to say issues, but you know, their strengths and weaknesses, they're big and they lean on you a little bit, and their physicality kind of won the day. And now they're in a position, you know, we'll talk about it in a little bit. It's a 4-team round robin for that playoff spot. And, you know, if you look at it now, CI's got a shot to make the playoffs. And I can't tell you, it's got to be a decade the last time they made the playoffs, 15 years. We'll look that up soon. If they win this week, I'll look it up.
there you go. That's a deal. All right, well, we're on schedule. We got Coach Weiss hanging out here listening to us gab this whole time. Coach Weiss, head coach at Fillmore. You guys are having an awesome year. We're talking kind of league championship week in a couple of leagues this week. A lot of huge games. You have a big one coming up, but before we talk about that, just tell us how it feels to be where you guys are at right now, to have won, what is it now, 7 straight, and be undefeated. Just, yeah, what are the vibes like over there in Fillmore?
The vibes are good. I'll borrow a line from one of my favorite players that I get to coach right now, Thomas Alamia, and I'll tell you, it feels great. We had an interesting game last year where he had to take over at starting quarterback for us halfway through the game, and he had an electric game. And afterwards, he was interviewed by our social media team, and all he could say was, "I feel great," over and over again. So that's become one of our kind of like team mantras. We feel great,
I love it.
and we've felt great since the beginning. You know, I think we've got a lot of positive energy. We're really excited about kind of what we're able to do here and what we're putting together. We're feeling like a really well-balanced, well-rounded team. And I think that the energy and the enthusiasm that we take every day out on practice is kind of translating every night on Friday, and we keep getting better. And it's been a really enjoyable experience so far. We're looking forward to continuing it.
That's awesome. So, we got to talk about this upcoming game. I remember, I think it was after that win over Buena, you said, we're doing special stuff this year, and we got to talk about this upcoming game. I'm getting some reverb from Coach Kroik, who just joined.
I told him to mute. Dustin, mute.
I think we're good now.
We're trying something new.
You mentioned, this is a team that's ready to, try and slay some giants. And, there's a Fillmore team that likes being an underdog, and you guys kind of relish that. Just what's the, without giving too much away in this call. But yeah, what's the strategy going up against this, great Agoura team with a great quarterback and, playmakers across the field?
Yeah, I mean, our strategy remains the same no matter how lucky we are to play against great opponents. Agoura and Coach Kroik's team is obviously very talented, very accomplished, no question. But we trust our work, and we trust our brotherhood, and we trust our fight. And one of my favorite things about this group of young men is that they will literally line up against anyone and give them everything that they've got. And no matter how difficult the opponent or how disproportionate the odds might be, we embrace the challenge. Our kids know exactly what it means to actually struggle. We know what it means to live a life of being an underdog, and we're comfortable in that role. We embrace it. We're grateful for every opportunity to compete and to show who we are and to represent our community in a positive way. And this is another great example of a Friday night where we'll get to suit up and do exactly that.
Coach, you guys have been the most productive run offense around, which, traditionally, back in the day, Fillmore was a running power. And when you guys have been good, you can run the ball. Maybe the last 5-7 years, since Sean, yourself, you guys have been more balanced. You've had great quarterbacks. You've thrown the ball a lot more. But what is it about this group specifically that has led you guys to just be so successful running the ball?
A big part of that is our offensive line led by Genaro Vilela. He's in his third year as our starter at center. And he is just an incredible leader, and it sets a really important tone for us. Like I said before, I think it's a lot about kind of our history, our tradition, the type of athlete that we're fortunate enough to have here and the type of community that we come from. We want to be that blue collar, physical, tough team. And when you combine that with a really stellar defense that we have and a really solid special teams that puts us in good positions, I think being able to balance the run with the pass and being able to utilize and be that kind of strong, dominant team in the trenches is really important to us. It's a lot more about the type of energy we want to bring to the game and a lot more about the type of team that we want to be and the type of football players that we want to be, as opposed to being about the technique or the strategy behind it. I think it's more about setting the tone for ourselves. And that translates to us being really successful when we can do that well.
I love it. Awesome. And we got Coach Kroik here. What's up, Coach? Good to see you. Good to see your face.
Hey guys, what's up?
We're just hanging out here, man. This is me and Joe's Tuesday morning routine. We get on a call and we start talking football.
Am I on camera right now on the podcast?
Yeah.
The whole time I was sitting here?
No, not the whole time, but whenever you speak, you pop up.
Yeah. What's up, Charlie?
Yeah.
How we doing?
I'm great.
Nice.
The way it works, you'll see the way it works is when you speak, it pops over to you. So that's why I muted you so that you'd be incognito in the corner.
Are we still calling us Agoura, or are we at Agora now?
Dude,
I've been
you tell
corrected,
us.
So it's Agora.
Agora.
It's tricky, but yeah, Agora.
Agora.
I've told Joe
if
a few
you're
times.
mood.
It's that Boston accent, He still got it.
Hey, me being here a year now, I'm not sure I have any excuses anymore anyway, so I appreciate that. You're in a call with somebody who I was calling Coach Weiss for a year as well. So we have two.
Oh, so it is Weiss. I thought you guys were screwing that one up too.
No, it's Weiss.
It's Weiss.
It's Weiss.
Not to
We
be
make
confused
mistakes,
with the
but-
other Charlie Weiss.
we make mistakes, but when we're corrected, that's if we have a typo on the paper, we misspell someone's name, we get the email and we don't get it wrong a second time. That's the goal.
True professionals.
It's more like me.
Appreciate that.
Maybe the third, fourth time I'm corrected, I finally internalize it. But that's me. So, Coach, you know, we talked early on in this, before the season even began at Media Day, like, you know, we knew, you know, Agora had a target on its back, and you guys had, you know, all these stars returning, and you've, you know, played an awesome season so far. It's turned into this kind of two-team race at the top of the Tri-County League. Like, how are you guys feeling with the season you've put together so far, and you know, how are you feeling going into this week's big game?
Yeah, we're feeling good, man. You know, I think it was an adjustment, just like every year, you know, and that was what I told our kids when we started struggling early, you know, playing Westlake at Thousand Oaks back-to-back, great tests. But really, it's a different team, you know, for us. For me, as the play caller on offense, it was, you know, a completely different year, and it just took some time for us to figure that out. You know, I'm not used to honestly having this many kids that can do these types of things with the ball. So spreading it out and learning that, you know, was an adjustment. And I think, you know, the last couple of weeks we've played really well. Last week we kind of put it all together against Dos Pueblos, played a really good full game. And yeah, it's just been fun, man. You know, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, Charlie's freaking doing a great job. We've been watching film all weekend, and, you know, he's got me nervous. Those kids are playing hard, man, well coached, and I think it's just going to be a really great game on Friday.
For sure.
I mean, we have been looking forward to this game all season, and, you know, when we feel out the teams in the preseason, there's a couple teams that played Fillmore that came out and literally told me, they're like, Fillmore's going to go undefeated. And I'm like, well, you do know they play Agora. Like, let's not pick
Agora. See, he needs a couple times too. He needs some help.
Agora. They play, which the funny thing about that is I said Agora for 15 years, and then somebody corrected me, and now I'm getting double. You know, I got to go back. So, because, you know,
you get there.
When A-Town, yeah,
that's easier. You know, that's
the mayor
say A-Town. We'll just call it A-Town.
You know?
But, you know, so that's why this game is such a fascinating this game, you know, because Fillmore, you know, had a phenomenal preseason. Everybody that played them said, you know, this is a fantastic football team. Obviously, you know, the Chargers have been, you know, you guys have faced, you know, Westlake. You face some, you know, different level competition, but, you know, you guys are the defending champions of this league, so. I think it makes for just an outstanding Friday night, and I'm jealous that Dom's going to get to go cover it. But
I called dibs.
In terms of, I mean, I think people need to just hear from you about your quarterback and, you know, just what it's been like to coach him, the challenges that he's had, kind of getting out there, getting seen, and just, you know, he's a special quarterback that, you know, it's a really fun watch every Friday night.
Yeah, hidden gem is what I would say to any coach. Yeah, he's special, man. I mean, I knew, you know, when he first came and just talking football with him, the brain, you know, that's really what sets him apart. And then you see how quick his release is and the types of throws he can make. I think this year it was really, you know, again, the same thing I talked about earlier is an adjustment period for him coming off injury. Feeling comfortable again, you know, and I think I put like way too much on him early, just expecting him to be how he was and you know, in our offense now, and he is, but it's like so much just thrown at him so fast. So I really think he's settled down now these last few weeks, and is just, you know, he's mastering it. You know, he's calling plays on his own most of the time when we're in our hurry up and all that. Can't give too much to Charlie right now, but he's smart, man. I mean, even last year, like when we played Thousand Oaks, you know, like we kind of give him the keys sometimes, dude. You just call it, go for it. And he's calling counter, you know, and we're scoring on that. And it's like, we just gave you the keys. You're calling a counter run play instead of freaking throwing it. You know, what high school kid does that? And that was pretty comical last year. But, you know, I think if he were on here right now talking, he'd say it's, you know, not just him, it's the receivers. I think our O-line's doing a great job protecting him. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to have 5 or 6 guys, you know, really to throw the ball to. We have, you know, we're deep right now at receiver. You know, got guys like Sawyer Monroy had his first touchdown last game. He'd probably be a starter, you know, in this league anywhere. Murphy Glenn is our 5th guy coming off, and, you know, you see his stats, and it's like, how do we get these guys involved? But for Gavin, you know, it's fun, and he gets that and he trusts all them. So he's just clicking right now. And most of all, he's having fun. We talk a lot, and I know he's frustrated about the recruiting and all that, but that stuff's going to come. I think, a team will find him and it'll work itself out. And he just needs to focus on being a high school kid and having fun right now. And he is. And I think we saw that last week.
He did just get an offer from someone in the last couple of days, right?
I don't think so, unless
no, you're thinking Joe of Cohen at Ventura College got the Cal Poly offer, I think.
Oh,
nice.
Somebody
you
was.
You would hope.
I got to go on the social media. Hang on.
You would hope Cal Poly would be on the kid. Ty's starting there now, but
that's
I guess
right.
they got to commit from.
There's an Agora quarterback at Cal Poly right now.
Yeah,
he's doing well. He's battling some injuries, but he's playing, and yeah. So I think it'll come. And again, I'm just pleased that he's not overthinking it. And our whole mantra this year, I stole this from a guy at a clinic last year, is like Modita. So it's really just about selflessness and feeling joy for others. And really, with all of these kids, in years past, it's I think with all kids these days, there's such a selfishness to it, right? Of Twitter and things like you guys writing reports. And from the start, we were just going to love everyone, feel joy for everyone, support, and just make the team come first. And, having that and obviously great leadership, that's the most important thing right now.
Charlie, before we let you go, let me ask you one quick thing. Fillmore is 7-0 for the first time since they had those the tearaway jerseys and since 89. And Fillmore, as we all know, is a very special place. Just the community and what is it like being in Fillmore in this moment when you guys are playing so well and doing, I'm sure Friday nights in Fillmore are special any year, but what's it like just being around town there right now with you guys, playing as well as you are?
Yeah, I mean, it's always pretty special to be here in Fillmore. We've always had a very deep and entrenched system of support here in town for the football program and also for the high school, just being a one high school district where literally everybody is an alumnus. And I think we're really blessed to have that. But being 7-0 for the first time since the year I was born, literally since 1989, I think is a pretty cool experience. So, we've had a lot of people reach out, a lot of alumni that speak with us or come out to practices pretty frequently and who've sent me text messages in the last week or who've called me to talk about it. And just, I think it's really about instilling pride in our community, right? It's about being something that we can have a tremendous amount of pride in. It's about being able to travel to places that may have a whole lot more support and resources like Agora, and being able to represent our community with that sense of pride, being able to take our flashes and our bolts and travel across the county to go to a place and represent who we are and play the kind of brand of football that we are. And I think, like I said, it represents who our community is too, right? We're hard workers, we're diligent, and we support each other no matter what. And we take on any and every challenge that'll be brought in our path.
And it reminds me of a good, follow-up for Dustin. Dustin, you sit there in the shadow of Oaks and Westlake and TO and Oak Park and Calabasas. It's not easy to do your job when all those programs are vying for players and, you share, I know that, what is it, TO, Agura, now Westlake, there's one youth football program that, is kind of associated with all those schools. Just how have you guys been able, to put this team together? And, we're talking about one of the great Fillmore teams of all time. I've said since the first week that this is one of the best Agura teams, did I say it right? Agora teams of the level.
We got it.
I'm getting there. One of the best Agora teams I've ever seen. I've been doing this 25 years. So, joke, that, I thought maybe since the 02 team that went to the semi, but, just how have you been able to put this team together, in the midst of all that traffic?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say the same stuff as Charlie. I've always felt that we were pretty blue collar in the area that we are. My wife makes fun of me for that though, and says it's not. But we are kind of in the middle of those areas. When I first got here, kids weren't coming to Agora. I think we've done a really good job with the youth program, and Westlake's now involved too. And the whole thing is just about having good coaches that support their programs and keeping kids in their school districts really. And we're all kind of sending that same message. Is if you live in Agora, you go to the middle school there, like, yeah, you're playing in this program, but go to your school. And as long as the three of us are all sending that message, Thousand Oaks, Westlake, and us, it's working. Obviously you see what the change has been at Westlake, which is great, and Thousand Oaks has been on a good run as well, and they struggled. So I think, for us, for me, that's what A-Town is. It's having pride in Agora, really, and in Agora High School, and playing for your home school, and it's worked, and I'm honestly, I don't know why, but it has, and all these kids have bought in, and it's family, and it's having pride again, and I think, all these kids and especially families in our area, that's what they want, especially after COVID, things changed, and we've just been able to keep kids coming to their home school. And, like most of our transfers every year are just bounce backs, like this year we had 3 kids transfer, and 1 from Oaks, 2 from Chaminade that were in our school district. So we have a good thing going. I have great support too. Garrett Lepisto, our principal, was a stud at Agora back in '99. He played for UCLA. Clint Cummings, our AD, is just a football guy, and that certainly helps. I'm very lucky to have them, and when I came on, they just supported everything and my vision for it, and there's good people around me, and it's fun. That's the biggest thing. We're having fun coaching. These kids are playing their hearts out, and yeah, I'm very lucky to have the type of talent that we have. I'm just trying not to screw it up.
So
I think too, just one thing I want to add, because I think that the difference in the Agora team, like you mentioned, is the offensive and defensive line this year. It's been a long time since we've had the size and the kind of turnover that we've had with juniors coming back. I mean, our defensive line is all returning guys. Our O-line, we have 2 on our corners, Finn Ward and Colton Powell, return as starters and are leading those 3 interior guys who are really good. But Colton Powell is just on a tear right now, offensively and defensively. He's a silent leader. And Finn Ward, Finn seems like he's going to be a Division I O-lineman. I mean, he's moving, he's put the work in. These kids are all wrestling. They're doing track in the off season. If they're not baseball and basketball, they're in track and wrestling, and that's really made a change as well. And those 2 kids, Finn Ward and Colton Powell, have definitely made a difference for us up front.
We got now Coach Lowen from Nordhoff is in the lobby. So we're going to transition to the big game in the Citrus Coast League. But before we do, Dom, what do you think about, Agura traditionally has the lightning bolt. The Flashes have the lightning bolt. I think if we got a rivalry here, I think this weekend may be the battle for the bolt.
I think Agora and Fillmore will be the battle for the bolt.
Did I say it again?
You were like a little bit better. It was good. You're improving.
We got 1.5 of the Ventura County Star sports section will be using the right name for the rest of the future.
Well, we got Ed Dos Pueblos was the Chargers too, so there's 3 of us in the league, which is crazy.
Yeah, we got Chargers back-to-back weeks.
There we go.
Fun.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate
you for having me, Charlie. I'll see you Friday.
Looking forward to it, Dustin. Thank you, Dom.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
See you guys out there.
Both you guys, appreciate it. That was fun.
Hey,
we seat of our pants here.
We got Coach Coate, we got Coach Lowen. Dude, this is awesome. This is the timing is awesome. You guys are great. Welcome in.
You.
Coach Coate, can you hear us?
I think Tom just tried to unmute himself, and I think I just muted him as I tried to unmute him.
No.
Hang on. No, I can't. Oh my God, did I just screw this up?
Oh, here, wait. Let me try.
I think you fixed it.
No, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
You hear me
Coach,
now?
you there?
There we go.
Yeah.
We got you.
I'm here.
Awesome. Well, so welcome in, guys. Thanks for coming in to talk. Yeah, this is a game we've had circled on the schedule for a long time. Really looking forward to just seeing what these 2, phenomenal teams in the Citrus Coast League are going to put together Friday night. Coach Lowen, let's start with you. Just what's the energy like, on campus right now? You guys these are both really small programs who've done a lot. What's the vibes? You guys have been scoring a lot of points, winning a lot of games. Just, tell me about the energy over there.
It's been really competitive at practice, which has been good. I think, we've kind of had a history of obviously having, being a smaller school, having lower numbers and not traditionally being able to have, a competitive setup as far as like an 11 versus 11. And at practice so far, we've been able to, it's kind of been getting a little bit chippy almost, where our defense versus our offense is getting really competitive, which is great for us. And this week, same thing, it's been picking up. The kids are excited. I think, going into, the first game that we lost, we don't know, honestly weren't prepared. We'll take the full blame on that. And I think the kids kind of felt, that feeling, making a little bit of a travel and taking it on the chin, and they just didn't want to feel that again. So they've been playing great. It's been fun for the kids, fun for us as coaches, and we've been enjoying it.
I love it.
Coach, give us a little sense of how Michael Denny has kind of evolved over this past year since he's been your starter, obviously, taking over at the SOP last year. And then, so he's basically been your starter for a year. I don't know, you guys have had just a tremendously, you've scored a lot of points this year, and I'm sure it starts with that quarterback. So tell us how Michael's been playing and who else we need to know about on this offense.
Yeah, I think, I think I put a lot of pressure on him in the beginning, because I know in the first couple of games we were kind of struggling to get that chemistry once we got off the 7-on-7 and actually put the pads on and try to throw the ball a little bit. And as of recently, he's really just found his own footing. I mean, as far as the work ethic that kid puts in, outside of practice on his own time, is going to be way more than the 18 hours that we get to have him during the week. So a lot of it you honestly have to credit to him. He is a diehard football kid. He's an excellent student of the game, so I think he's only going to get better from here. He has a great arm. We got to see some of his speed open up, which is good. When he wasn't really missing a couple of passes, we weren't really able to complete anything in the beginning, able to see him kind of take off down a sideline and be like, yeah, he was the fastest kid on the field for a few of our games. It definitely helps us out. It's good to see him start to get comfortable and get good chemistry with those receivers.
And Coach Coate, I mean, it's a perfect opportunity to keep talking quarterbacks. We spoke, I think, at the Fillmore, the Route 126, passing tournament. We spoke about, how this was kind of going to be the year of how is Grace going to adjust to the post Ethan LaSecla era? And you seem to have found a real talent in Riley Williams. Just tell us about kind of his growth, what you've seen week over week, and just what he kind of brings to you guys.
Yeah, Riley, I think for the most part, it's been surprising for a lot of people. It wasn't surprising for me. The kid does everything that he touches, he can do. I mean, there's nothing that guy can't do well. So when we asked him to be a receiver last couple of years, he was a dog receiver, right? So he can play the piano, play the guitar, anything, and he does it well. He can serve. He plays basketball. He's one of our top basketball players. He's the top of the college players. So, I had no doubt that if we put him in any position, Riley was going to excel, and quarterback was no different. So I had seen the talent he had and his leadership that he has. I saw that the last couple of years. And, last year he got some reps at quarterback in some of the games, and we like what we saw. And I saw him throwing around the practice field and getting the number 2 reps under Ethan LaSecla. And I was very confident he was going to do well. But I think he's exceeded, everybody's expectation, which is great. And Riley's been an amazing leader. Really has taken on that position. And it looks like he's been playing for all 4 years, to be very honest with you, all 3 years that he's been there. He's just a natural.
Guys, I got something for both of you, and it kind of plays on what Coach Coate was just talking about. I think we can kind of set up this game as, the smallest public school in Ventura County against the smallest private school. I'm not quite sure whether or not Santa Clara is smaller than Grace at this moment, but it's, for this purposes, we can just say, Grace is the smallest at the moment. But, you guys have both put together really successful teams, really successful programs, really entertaining teams, kids that make a lot of good, a lot of big plays with, really just a fraction of the resources and the bodies that, a lot of the other schools that we cover, have. Just, just tell me about how you guys have been able to accomplish this, any secrets to the sauce about, just taking what you guys have and being able to put it together when there's not a lot of room for error. I mean, let's start with Coach Lowen at Nordhoff. What, I don't know, just tell me about, you've now been there, what, 4 or 5 years, and, you were an assistant before then. And, Nordhoff has a proud tradition of football in Ojai. How have you been able to keep it going with, such a small amount of players and resources?
Well, I think the first thing that was really important was, recognizing like how powerful the community is. And then, obviously with the school administration, like they really care what, the parents and the students think. So, I really wanted to make it a point to build a relationship with as much of the community as possible, as many of the parents as possible, make sure that they, felt heard and that they were, they had a say in the program, that there was, great communication. Outside of that, really prioritizing, player safety. Year one, we came in, we got try to get we got 90% of the program in the Speed Flex helmets, and threw away a bunch of the buckets into the dumpster. I don't know if they're actually called buckets. The kids call them that, so I'll roll with that for now. And we started kind of rebuilding or building up the booster club, with the smaller public school funding's not always, ready for us as a football program. But, we got a bunch of community members involved in fundraising, and being able to kind of rebuild that. It gets kids excited when they get, new uniforms and the new helmets, new pads. And, without having a youth program here, it's just kind of trying to find other ways to attract kids to the game of football. We did a little bit of flag football at the youth level, to, teach them some basic skills and drills. But other than that, they're getting a fresh start and learning the game at the freshman level. So, and kind of in summary, it's just connecting with the community first, and everything else kind of just follows from there.
Tommy, same thing for you. I mean, obviously you took over a program, in a totally, well, I guess honestly, both of your programs have had, big time success in the recent history. Everybody remembers Tony Henney's great Nordhoff teams, and everyone remembers, Josh Henderson's great Grace teams. And you guys have your own set of circumstances and your own set of issues. And, I know firsthand, Tom, that, you guys obviously have a totally different situation than your predecessor. Just what, I don't know, tell us about where Grace stands right now. It's no longer Grace Brethren. We're on the second year of Grace School. And, it just shows you that even the name is changed now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really a whole stock change at Grace for the last 5 years, but it doesn't seem like it's been 5 years, but it has. And it's been quite a journey. For us, being a small school, I don't have the fortunate problem that Dylan has, where he has some good competition. We're still playing 1-on-2s most of our practices, because it just we just don't have enough kids to actually have 1v1. So, and that's always been a challenge. That'll always be a challenge, maybe not, but we work through it. But what we started with, and what I started with, and what I think it's really what keeps us going is culture. I came in to develop a culture that boys thrived in and played together with, and it's based off around loving each other, and those boys are bonding. We don't focus too much on some less on raising money and fundraising that other schools do. We kind of say, hey, we want to build bonding activities and let these boys bond. So, and we count on that. We count on the fact they go out and play about every sport in the school together. The fact that they hang out every day, every night together, basically, and the fact they practice and love each other, they play for each other. So we really work on that, and that's what we focus on, is caring about the guy beside you, the guy behind you, and in front of you, and really serving that person by being the best you can be. So we just ask them to be the best you can be for the others, to serve others, and we just built around that, and we built around some smart X and O's, and we try to do some things that may give other people problems, and try to scheme a little bit, but basically it's about the boys' heart. And of course we play with the kids in the hallway. We don't have a youth program either, so with the 90 boys in our school, we hopefully get 25 out and or 30 out and play football, no matter what talent. I think it's a different mindset for a lot of the community, and a lot of the boys in the school. It's a different mindset under the last program, in a sense. All these boys would never be able to play in that program. and kids that are a little smaller and all that we have now, we tell them they can play. We'll find a spot on the field for you. You just keep working hard, and let the Lord, take you where you need to go, and trust Him, and it'll work out. All right, it'll work out. So that's what we got a lot of. And I guess the last thing is that our boys ask their friends. I mean, they go out to a baseball, to play baseball. So they ask one of their baseball players, "Hey, will you come play? Will you come play football?" Right? Or I'll go play basketball if you come play football, and that has worked for us. So it's bartering. I don't, I generally don't talk to kids and try to solicit their, to come play football. I don't. It's been the boys doing it themselves. And
Do we lose Tony? Let's.
Yeah.
You good? I had a Landon Cooper question. We'll get there. That's right. Well, yeah, Dylan, dealing with that number 3, what's he look like on film? What kind of issues does he present you on Friday?
I mean, all of them. It's all the issues. I thought that I've watched a lot of film for a lot of the other games, and then you see players like number 3, landing out there doing what he does. I mean, incredible speed, offense and defense. Just no matter where he is, you need to know where he's at. And the good thing is too that about him is that it opens up opportunities for others on that field. I mean, can't remember off the top of my head right now, but number 7, fantastic player as well. I was a huge fan of Jaden. Sorry, I forget the last name wrong, but Wyandanch. I actually rooted for him for getting up there towards defensive player of the year last year. He's a fantastic athlete now, playing both sides of the ball. And as I said every year, I mean, Grace, I know, always comes out with lower numbers just like we do. And the thing about that's great about Grace is, no matter what, Coach Tom always puts an incredible product on the field. So it's a team you'll never take lightly. You could probably get someone that has never played football and turn him into a star, and it's shown every year with multiple kids, not just Landon.
And both these teams have really good backs. Desi Canfield's been a really unique player for you guys, and we could talk about other players too. But just give us a sense of the impact that Canfield's had for you this year before we go.
Yeah, Desi's been great for us all around. Obviously, we have always wanted to be kind of a run-heavy team, and I think in the past we haven't really had much of a choice. Bringing Michael in has allowed us to kind of expand a little bit more into the passing side. But Desi came in as a soccer player, not playing football, any youth football at all. I actually had a video of him on my Instagram as a freshman kicking a 55-yard field goal to end practice early. And nice. I mean, no pads or anything, but still, it was really cool. He went back to soccer for a little bit, came back, and I mean, he's outside of just the football aspect of Desi. He can kick, he can run. He was a quarterback on JV. I don't think there's a position he hasn't played. I mean, outside of that, just the person that he is you wish you had 100 of them on the team. He's a great leader. Great kid. It's someone that anyone will be lucky to have on their team.
All right. Well, I wanted to make sure we talked Citrus Coast League. Well, actually, I shouldn't say, just the showdown. 2 great teams playing a big time game. We talked previously about the Tri-County League showdown. So you've got Agoura, Fillmore at Agoura, and Nordhoff at Grace, right? You guys are going to is the game at Royal? Where's the game, Dylan?
Moorpark College.
It's at Moorpark College. Very nice. So
that's what I have down. So if it's wrong, I'm going to be at the wrong place. So
I think you're right.
Somewhere else.
That's where
Tom's
okay. Tom's back good.
Right. Yeah. So so I could hear you guys. You couldn't hear me. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there, but I could hear Dylan. Thanks for all the nice things. But no, we all our home games now at Moorpark.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been good to go back to Moorpark. But you had a Landon Cooper question. I can answer that too. I mean, I think you had it for Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan did a great job talking about Landon, but obviously with these small schools, you need guys that do multiple things, and certainly Landon has filled a bunch of roles for you this year.
Yeah, Jake Williams at running back's done a really good job, and we got some guys who really play hard and asked to do so.
That's
I do.
right.
I mean, the one thing I said about Grayson, I'll say it again many times. It's very rare that you get a school that, you have brother connections like Noah Cooper and Landon Cooper, be able to hand off a senior, being able to hand off, a ball to, or throw a ball to his brother and score a touchdown. So I told the boys, the Williams boys, I said, listen, you guys are building lifelong memories. You're going to tell your children this at Thanksgiving together, that you guys played together and in the same backfield. And what a great experience that we here at Grace can provide that family.
Yeah. And that at Nordhoff, they get the Sheets family too, which is every year it's like another great player from the Sheets family. So yeah, we got to finish up and talk about the rest of the games this weekend, but we really appreciate Coach Lowen and Coach Coate coming on and being patient with us. This is our experimental mode here where we got 4 coaches in the same segment, and they pretty much did without a hitch. So good job, Dom. That was really cool.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. 2 class acts. Good luck to the Rangers and the Lancers this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye, Tommy. Thanks. Yeah, that was good. We ended the first segment. Let's finish up and just finish up previewing this week's slate. Anything? I don't think there's much more to say about Fillmore Gura or Nordhoff Grace. We can kind of move on from that. In the Marmani League, you have 2 massive games where Pacifica is a game ahead of everybody, and they play Cam this week. So if you're Oaks Christian St. Bonaventure, that game, or Simi Valley Bishop Diego, you got some pressure there. You got to win to stay within a game potentially of the Tritons. And so, a lot of pressure on Oaks Christian St. Bonaventure and Simi Valley Bishop Diego to win this weekend in 2 games that I think it's pretty fair to say are probably coin flip games. Oaks Christian St. Bonaventure is just going to be a battle in the trenches, just phenomenal defensive lines there. Similar. I mean, those 4 teams are 4 of the most physical teams around. So good luck to Joseph Thomas picking those games. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. And then, the other 2 things to mention this weekend are the battle for the 3rd playoff spots in both the Channel League and the Citrus Coast League. We talked a lot about the 4 teams battling for that 3rd Channel League spot. The big game this week is Buena at Oak Park. Buena coming off scoring 60 some odd points. I think it was the 3rd most points in Buena history after losing the Ventura rivalry game in a blowout, and that was like a 180-degree turnaround for the Bulldogs, and now they play an Oak Park team coming off what ended up being a tougher win than normal because Oxnard was 0-8, 0-7 going into that game, but they got their quarterback back, they got some linemen back. All of a sudden, Oxnard's looking like a different team, and that was 7-7 in the 4th. When Oak Park made the plays to win that game. So both those teams kind of arrow up and looking better. So that's a tough game to call too, Buena at Oak Park, in a game that's essentially an elimination game for an automatic playoff berth. And then, we talked a lot about the Citrus Coast League and the 2 teams there that are vying for a championship. Well, you have 4 teams vying for that 3rd automatic playoff spot. Santa Clara, which is still winless, plays at Channel Islands this weekend, coming off their first win in 14 games. So CI, like we kind of hinted at earlier in the podcast, kind of in a position to really start to solidify their first playoff berth in a generation. And then you got Carp at Del Sol. Is this the moment for Del Sol to, they played better offensively last week? Is this when they finally get over the hump and get their first win? I'm sure Carp likes their chances, having already beaten Santa Clara twice, of being that team. So, 4 kind of even teams there, all vying for the same thing. There's pretty much all of the games this week, are have impact. Either a team that's vying for a championship or vying for a playoff spot. We're not at the point in the league season where teams are really out of it yet. Oh, really? Don't we got 15 more minutes? How long have we been going? We already went an hour? Gotta be better at that. But yeah, give us, obviously, cross country. You wrote a great story last week. Get it at vcstar.com about Alo and Clovis and everything happening with cross country. But why don't you boil it down and give people a reason to go click on that thing? Google it. Sisters. Twins. Nice.
I'm muted. Oh my goodness. I hope not for a very long time.
Oh no.
That's
Well,
bad.
how come I can hear you?
Because we're in the oh my goodness. I hope that's not as bad as I think it might be. We, we are, Coach Lowen called me. He's like, you're muted. Oh no. Thank you, Coach. So yeah, we got, Westlake, Sanias Cruz, and Sabina Cruz. Where I hope that was not for a super long time. And Sabina wins the Woodbridge Classic in 1650. Her sister comes back, runs 17-17 to win the Marmani Preview, taking down a bunch of talented seniors there. And then on the boys' side, we have Sterling White, who is the son of Oak Park head coach Steve White. He's been a huge contributor for Oaks Christian thus far this season, behind Vin Kruger and Arize Nwosu. And he's one of the fastest freshmen, if not the fastest freshman in California. So really talented freshman. And then just turning to the Clovis Invitational run on the state meet course, we had a huge run from Ventura senior Alo Curtis. She runs the 9th fastest time in the history of that course, not just meet history, but course history, including all those state times. She runs 16:44, I believe the time was. It's the same week she commits to Harvard for cross country and track and field. So a huge week for Alo. She's undoubtedly I was muted since the Citrus Coast League portion. Tough. But you asked good questions, so we got that, and we got all of Coach Lowen and Coach stuff, which is the important stuff. Nobody needs to hear from me. But yeah, so Alo's undoubtedly the favorite going into Ventura County Championships this coming weekend.
All right, cool. All right, well, we will see if there's any way to go back and fix that. Maybe we'll do some subtitles underneath when you're talking. We'll figure it out. But fantastic job nonetheless. We were kind of due a technical issue.
Yeah,
we'd kind of been riding the lightning here.
Could be worse, since it was most of what we lost was during the section when we had some guests. So but I think I'm trying to think back. So the only thing we maybe lost was just give a real quick bit on Kathleen Lamb and Anya Patillo, the two Oak Park freshmen.
Okay.
Those are the two other girls, on the freshman scene, the fabulous freshmen. That's kind of been the trend for, cross country this year. Those two are running really, really well. It's going to be awesome to see how they fare against the Cruz twins at Westlake and the rest of, the extremely talented, I should say, girls cross country field that'll be assembled for the county championships up at Casitas this weekend.
All right, a couple things before we go. Make sure you go and vote in the Week 7 poll, which is live on the website. Check out Dom's story on the cross country that he was just talking about, vcstar.com. We will have coverage from all the games we previewed today, this weekend. There's also a couple really big things we're finishing today that I'm not going to hint, because it's at the point now where I just have to get it in the paper and then we can talk about it next week. There's been literally something that's 2 weeks delayed because I've just been so busy. I haven't been able to chew it all. So we will get there. Please like and subscribe and follow us on Apple Pods and Spotify and YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to the Star.
At VCS Preps on all the social media. If you're watching live, you know about the YouTube, but go subscribe on YouTube. Come join us live every week. And if you missed something, you'll hear the lightly edited to make sure that we get the the muted sections out. You'll hear the lightly edited version on Spotify and Apple Podcasts hopefully later tonight.
Poor Tom. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll learn some lessons off of this. But I still don't understand what happened, but we'll talk about it in a second. Let's go. Back to work, bud. Great job today.
Until next time, everybody. Thank you very much.
It comes down to this for Thousand Oaks in their season. It is a gift to Martin. Martin gets the first down and more. It's a nice little screen to the left-hand side. One play, and see ya later. Caldera dives into the end zone. Touchdown, Oxnard. What a fitting way to end that run. He's at the 40. He's at the 20.